Well, good morning. Welcome back for coffee chat with the chickens. So they're having their first taste of their own shells roasted and crushed and gourmet served up. And they're not quite sure about it yet, so which is not uncommon. They're not sure if they want to eat them. There's a few brave ones that are coming at them first, so you know, just trying to keep the rooster out of it. But so today we're just waiting on the rain to come. So I've just been busying myself with chores and playing in the greenhouse for a while. You notice I say playing, but we did end up having, I think I'd stockpiled like maybe 12, maybe a dozen of the little eggs. So fried those up for deluxe breakfast this morning, and I took every bit of them. They're so little. So so my sister from another mother, Monique, asked me about what kind of bird these are. So I know I covered it a little bit in a previous video, but these are a cross between a Freedom Red Ranger and a Rhode Island Red. At least that's what I was told. So we got a really great deal on them, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I only paid $12 a bird, which in today's world, that's really super good. A friend of ours that we've met down here through our antiquing and homesteading and everything, hey Erin, she has sold birds up to $40, $45 and has a waiting list. So she's jumping into quail. Everyone's jumping into quail, but I have no idea what to do about quail. So this is so a little bit of the backstory on the Red Rangers, the Freedom Rangers. A couple years ago is when I first started hearing about them. Well, probably about maybe 5 years ago. As you know, they just kind of blew up in the homesteading world, and they were touted as the alternative to the Cornish cross meat birds. The Cornish cross meat birds are just super Frankensteins of the chicken world, and I grew them and I loved them, and they taste really, really good. But you know, whether your goal as a homesteader was to be, you know, completely authentic and no GMOs and no hybrids and no this, that, and the other, and no, I mean, for me it was about feeding my family. So because the Cornish crosses are monstrous birds, they are built and bred to come to full size and ready to butcher in 6 to 8 weeks, and they literally do nothing but eat and poo, and they would rather die than walk 5 feet over to a waterer. That's how stupid these things are. But they're just so big, and they have a high mortality rate because their hearts can't take the rapid growth. There's my handsome man. Come join me for coffee chat. Monique had asked about the chickens. Hi, Toto. So, yeah, so the first couple weeks, usually around week 3 to 4, you might lose, if you're raising 20 of the Cornish crosses, you're gonna lose maybe 5. Their hearts just are weak and can't sustain that fast of a growth. So the Freedom Rangers were touted as the alternative for the natural homesteader. They were a slower growing meat bird, but also acted more like a chicken. They'll scratch, they'll lay, they'll, you know, do all the things that a normal, like regular chicken would do, but they do grow beefier and they grow bigger, faster than your normal like Rhode Island Reds or any of your other chicken breeds. I've read mixed reviews on the Freedom Rangers, mainly because they have tons of pin feathers and their breasts don't get as big, so the meat's not as tender. It's an older bird, so a lot of people that touted the Freedom Rangers have kind of backpedaled a little bit. But I'd never raised them. I was all about economy. I needed those big fat birds, and I needed to butcher them, and I needed to get every single bit of meat out of those birds to feed my family as a single mom. So So that's a little backstory to the Freedom Rangers. Someone's smitten with a little pooch.
He forces you to do it.
He does. So the Freedom Ranger, and then so that's the backstory to the Freedom Rangers. The Rhode Island Reds are a standard breed that is extremely popular. I've raised lots of Rhode Island Reds. They have a great temperament. They're great egg producers. Not quite as prolific as the Leghorns or the Ices, but a good-natured bird. You can hold them, you can pet them. The roosters aren't aggressive. So those are a good all-purpose layer, well-rounded, perfect little bird. So these birds, I was told, are a cross between those Freedom Rangers and those Rhode Island Reds. You know, I mean, I've Googled whether or not their eggs will get bigger. I've read that, yeah, they will. I'm just not used to that. The Ices and the Rhode Island Reds, from the moment they lay their first egg, they're monsters. It's been, you know, and I raised chickens for years. So I'm a little concerned. So if these girls don't start producing, because we have 16 hens, and granted, they're ready to lay, they're young, but 4 a day max. So we'll give them until the Ices are of age. Once the Ices start laying, if these guys aren't producing and earning their keep on the farm, because I'm not feeding for free. I love my birds. Don't take it personal and don't give me a lot of hate. Money's money, feed is feed, and chickens are chickens. So if they're not producing, and I'm only getting still small eggs and 4 to 5 a day out of 16 birds, we'll just cull them and they'll go in a mason jar for shredded chicken. Right?
Chicken sandwich.
Because I've always said I wouldn't have something on the homestead that didn't produce, that wasn't of good value to have. It's just sometimes it's expensive to farm and homestead sometimes, especially when you're starting from scratch. Once you're established, it's not so bad. But that's a lot why I grew up with horses. You know, I had them with my dad, and Jason spent a lot of time around cows. We may add a cow. We got to see what the lay of the land looks like after we clear a bunch. But we'd love to have horses. Horses, as fun as they are, and as I'll fall in love, I loved my horses. They are an expensive habit. And unless you're going to use them to harness up to and plow or pull a sled or, you know, that kind of stuff, they're recreational only. You think it's expensive to have like side-by-sides and stuff like that. Like, horses are expensive. Tack is expensive. Feed, hay, if you're not growing it yourself, is expensive. So,
and that's a big key to us, is kind of the debate. I mean, future planning of, like she said, the cow. I mean, we're even trying to look to see, I mean, it's, you want to pasture raise them. You know, like, that's the best plan. That's the best method if you have pasture. Like, right now, we're full woods. And
which hogs will do fine on, honestly.
And, you know, but even if I cleared some, and that's kind of our curiosity with this soil being such a shallow topsoil, is could we raise a pasture? Even if it's just pasture, I don't think we would be able to grow our own hay. I've done some reading on this area, you know, even in its pre-development back in the 1800s, this was not fertile growing land. You can raise animals on it. I think if there was enough trees cleared, we might be able to get some short grass to grow, but then, you know, it doesn't take pasture animals very long to clear grass.
That's better. My hand was getting tired.
But if you don't have pasture, if you don't have enough acreage of pasture land, because you need to rotate them, because if you leave them on the same one all the time, they're going to wear it down to nothing, you know, like the chickens have done, which this is fine. eventually our goal, I don't know if you'd mention it, was, you know,
Yeah.
we want them to free range. So this pen shelter is just temporary. But if you're having to buy all your hay to feed a horse or feed a cow, or that's where a lot of your price, and then, you know, because you can still feed them just hay. You don't have to go with the grain, but
we're looking at most cost effective, because as you know, as much as we'd love to say, oh, we're gonna go no GMO, no this, no that, no, it's sustainability, and it's food for us. And
as long as they can make a sandwich at the end of the day, we'll put in what we have to.
And
I'm not gonna go crazy above and beyond with the expensive things.
Yeah.
Trying to watch.
I know, there's a hawk up there.
He went that way. Oh, there's two of them now.
You know, and there's and as I did with the Homestead up north in Ohio, and it was funny because Living Traditions even talked about it in their last video, that they're getting rid of their breeding hogs. And to me, that was just the way I raised them. I got my piglets in the spring and I butchered in the fall. And up north, I had done the math at one point, and your feed costs go up exponentially in the wintertime because your animals are utilizing all those extra calories to stay warm and to, you know, sustain themselves. So it just wasn't part of my budget to feed out an animal over the wintertime. So you get more bang for your buck, and that's kind of what we discussed here. It'd be fun to have little piglets, but in reality, the cost benefit, I'll have to do the math for down here and kind of see what that looks like. There's some feeder pigs around here. But also we've got up in Missouri, there's this place called 10 Box Plus or something like that. And their premise is they sell everything at 10% over what they pay. And they've got some great meat prices. And we're talking like you buy, like when I worked at the butcher shop, we'd get these big boxes of like 2 pork butts, you know, in a box. And that's it. We dice it up, cut it up, put it in with seasonings, run it through the grinder, make patties, make sausage, you know, make whatever it was that you wanted to make out of it. And that allows the pork and sausage to be around, what did I say it was, this $1.13.
Well, and the key to that place is it's buy in bulk.
Yeah.
We haven't really been able to take full advantage. We know it's there, and we know that when we go up there, until we get the shop built and we can get our big freezer, that's kind of our big holdback right now, is
we can't stockpile.
We can't stockpile any food, so it's kind of buy.
Greenhouse, here comes the rain. The chickens are freaking out too. But we actually were gonna come out here anyway, and I was like, oh, let's do a coffee chat until the rain comes, and well, the rain is a-coming. So what's the temp now in here? So it's sitting at about 61, and it's, what's it outside? Sorry, the neighbor's dog is out, and it. All right, so it's 57 degrees outside. So it's a little warmer, but the sun's not out. But yeah, that's kind of wrapping up. Oh geez, doggies underfoot. Kind of wrapping up what we had just talked about outside. You know, as soon as we get the infrastructure ready, we definitely need to put back some of that meat. But it may be cheaper to go ahead and like do the 10 Box Plus versus growing out our own hog.
Well, and then, I mean, at this point, with us getting everything started, I mean, you guys see, we don't have a shortage of products, and it's
projects,
and, you know, 19 million things going at one time. So adding the chickens and trying to do this garden stuff has been quite the evolution on its own, and we're trying to be realistic with it and
still get stuff done.
Yeah.
So, but while we're in here, I'll give you a quick, and the whole hot compost pile, it ain't working. I don't know what I did wrong. So if y'all know, leave a comment below. I'm gonna do a little bit more research. I just haven't had time. So, but I've been planting. And I held off on a lot of things because I wasn't sure, but there's other Arkansas homesteaders that are showing videos that they're planting outside already. So surely I've got to be okay in the greenhouse, right? That's what we're gonna go with. So I had come out earlier this morning at the butt crack of dawn, and I did my sprouts. So those are all rinsed and those are ready to roll. They've slowed down their growth a little bit because they are in a more colder environment, but you can see there probably in the next day or two those sprouts will be ready. And then I have some garden sweet peas soaking, ready to be planted. And then I have some more Kentucky Wonder pole beans ready to roll. And taking you over here, of course, I've got my calendar, so I write down, you know, when I've done something. Sorry, that rain is really loud. And this is my dirt book. I got to go over this with Jason, so he knows exactly what I expect done while I'm in Tennessee. So I have all my vegetables, the date that I plant them, how many I planted, and then there's a column here for when they sprout, how many sprouted, what date I transplant them, and then I just wrote on here days to harvest and how many days it takes to get there, and then what breed or brand, strain or whatever they are over here. The S's stand for soaking, so if it's a seed that I soaked, then it'll have an S beside it. So I actually am doing an experiment. I've got zucchini, the same packet of zucchini. I soaked half of them and I left the other half unsoaked. So you'll see here I've got my soaked, wait, where'd it go? Zucchini right here, unsoaked, and then zucchini soaked. So ain't this handsome? The greenhouse too, of course. But we're gonna do a little planting. We knew the rain was coming, so I don't know. I just don't need that, but all right, we'll talk to you in a bit.